and area of Wojiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, this report is the report regarding the mandate given by this House that we look at bills that have been proposed regarding the funding of Nigerian roads. There were two bills. One is a bill for an act to establish the National Roads Fund and maintenance of national roads and other matters connected therewith. The next one was a bill for an act to establish a fund as the Federal Roads Fund for other matters related therewith. The bills were intended to coordinate and allocate funds generated for road maintenance, road planning, monitoring, and supervision. The committee had a public hearing on the 7th of November 2016, and what we've submitted and laid was as a result of collation of views by experts and stakeholders on that. As a matter of fact, the effort to have opportunity to generate revenue other than annual appropriation for the road sector is an issue that has been on the table since 1971. For the first time in the history of this chamber, we are looking at a report which will be transformational when passed with regard to Nigerian roads. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, the opportunity cost of having annual appropriation for roads is too consequential. Most of the time, you will appreciate that even the stakeholders and contractors in the industry, they know the budget more than those of us who are passing it. And once there is no appropriation on the particular road, they just abandon the road because it's not funded. This road fund is aimed at providing a seed capital, the funding that will make it possible that we can address real-time the issues regarding the funding of roads. By so doing, annual appropriation becomes interventionist. It becomes a support to a seed capital, which, when passed, would help a great deal in addressing the issues we all yearn for. You will appreciate, Mr. Chairman, that where we are not able to address this issue, other countries have done so. In other jurisdictions, let us say, for instance, Zambia, annually they provide $1 billion. If you look at that, in the official market, it's 316 billion. In the black market or parallel market, it is about 400 billion. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing this year is about 298 billion. And for a country like Nigeria, it does not address our issues. For a country like Zambia, with their population and land span, you'll find that they are doing much more better. And if we are able to tackle Nigerian roads, and if we're able to generate funds, even if it is 50 billion or 100 billion, it is something we build on. It is something we now add to what annual appropriation will bring. And as a matter of fact, if Mr. Chairman or any of our colleagues requires intervention in any sector of the roads in Nigeria, you can give an oral contract. The minister can say, please, my friend, go and intervene here, knowing that the agency handling roads will have its own seed capital which it can generate. But if it's dependent on annual appropriation, and which for us should be interventionist, it presupposes that the man whom you would ordinarily call, if you have your own seed capital, will wait for you when you appropriate. So it has limited us. And the consequence is that instead of repairing our roads, As when appropriate, we wait for annual appropriation. Most of the time, we don't have the funds released. As of today, Mr. Chairman, the Ministry of Works has a contractual commitment of $2.6 trillion naira. We have over 300 billion outstanding liabilities. If you provide 300 billion today in your appropriation, the Ministry of Works can pay contractors who have done their job. And that is without recourse to what they should be doing the next time. Now, our appropriation as of 2016 is about 240 billion. That is below outstanding liabilities. What does that mean? It means that you are just paying for outstanding liabilities, which will not even be enough to advance our road network. So the requirement and the need for this intervention and this transformational approach by the National Assembly, which is a private member's bill, but along the line of the time of consideration, we were able to work effectively with the executive. And as a matter of fact, they were housed and shepherded the technical summit committee we set for 3 weeks. They worked in the ministry, worked out modalities. So all the stakeholders, we invited and inaugurated technical committee of about 23 people from the CBN, ICRC, from Ministry of Finance, from Ministry of Justice, from the Nigerian Society of Engineers and highway engineers. So we have all the people who have been interested in this to be part of it. So the product we have is something that has captured all the issues, all the bottlenecks that has stalled this process since 1971. So this major milestone by this 8th Assembly, Mr. Chairman, will be transformational. And we have worked in concert with the Senate to ensure that when this is passed, it will be concurred. But more importantly, we have also gotten assurances that, look, we are tired of being laid back compared with other jurisdictions on the issue of roads. We need to front load this and make sure that issues, the opportunity cost essentially is, if I have to go from here to Lokoja, or if I have to go from here to Nasarawa State, if the roads are bad, the wear and tear on my vehicle is one. I will spend more time on the road, burning more fuel. But if we're able to have the funding required to make sure you get to your destination on time, it means you are saving your man hours, you are saving money on fuel, and Mr. Chairman, you are saving money on wear and tear on your vehicle. So the benefit is huge, but we need to take this step to make sure we overcome whatever has been drawing us back in this direction. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's go ahead and consider the clauses of the bill. Clause 1. I've not recognized you. Okay, Engineer Magaji.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Engineer Magaji Da'u Aliu, member representing Boji Brunin Kudu Pere constituency. I'm from Jigawa State. Even though I'm just receiving this bill for the first time, I have a quick glance at it. And we need some explanation from the chairman of Works. I have issues with it. One, yes, because, yes, the issue is that I need explanation on some items in this bill. It's concerned me and my constituents. Mr. Chairman, yes, personal explanation, Mr. Chairman. I want an explanation on this bill, because this bill is...
To the consideration stage is 1, it will be read it will be gazetted, and the point of gazetting, you have all the right in the world to do research into it, because at the point of gazetting, the bill is listed, the clauses are listed, and you can read through. That's number one. It now comes to the floor of the House for first reading. You still have the opportunity in the world to go to your gazette and take a look and read. The second opportunity is the second reading, where you discuss and debate both the merits and demerits of the bill itself, when it will now be finally referred to the appropriate committee for public hearing. And in public hearing of the House, for every single public hearing that is being held, that opportunity too is lost. So at this point, you have about 3 stages where you had the opportunities in the world to read, make input, criticize, and even make addition. So what I would advise you to do is pay attention to the clauses. You can still change the content of some of these clauses. And of course, when I call on the chairman to speak to the report, members will agree, outside the fact that this bill is desirable, we know what roles are to any economy. He even discussed and debated it exhaustively. And so, Engineer Magaji, your order, I wouldn't know when I get back to plenary, I will rule you out of order, but let's please continue this. So, we've done clause 1, clause 2. Clause 3. Clause 4, Chairman rules.
On clause 4, which deals with the sources of the funds, I am afraid, Mr. Chairman, the item A there is where I want to suggest that we should consider, if necessary, to remove, because it will amount to increasing fuel pump price. By the time we come back to refining locally, perhaps we can accommodate it under B, when we start to locally refine our petroleum products. The situation as it is now, to add another levy on imported petroleum products will be, the ultimate effect is increasing pump price. That's why I say all other sources are okay, excluding item number A. That's my suggestion.
The levy of 5 naira, actually the FEMA Act provides for 5%, which is far much more. Then what we have is 5 naira, and it was exhaustively discussed.
Is it in the explanatory note or schedule?
No, it's in the schedule. It's in the schedule.
It's 5%.
Yes. It's not 5%.
So take your seat.
I just want to write on what Chairman Rules and Business observed. In the recommendation of the committee, we have, mine is not per se against levying from petroleum products. But if you look at the provision of the bill, they're asking for 5%. But again, the recommendation of the committee is not stating any percentage. And across the board like that, we have fuel levy on imported petroleum products. Mr. Chairman, I'm still going through my submissions. I'm not through yet. So if you go to even the toll fees, item C2, and so on and so forth, that's my charge.
In the schedule, I asked him. 5% was recommended in the bill, but the committee recommended 5 naira. So the chairman is the one that is going to explain. 5 naira of what? Honorable colleagues, please. I will allow us to discuss it, but let us be procedural. He's saying 5 naira per liter. The chairman of Rule and Business that observed it even wanted the provision to be deleted, but his own is not based on any sound economic judgment. That you raise the price of something does not mean that it's going to create problem. So let's discuss the issue of 5 naira per liter now. Engineer Magaji.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've learned from you today that there is first, second, and third reading. I've been following. Additionally, I have problem with all sorts of funding because they're inhuman. Whatever happened in the first, second, and third, I feel we are doing disservice to Nigerians.
You see, the purpose of this is not that we are seated here to just be passing it. If you have observation, you make it. We can even change the totality of levy here. We have the power, and that is the purpose of this sitting. So if you say you have problem with the entirety of the levy, yet it can still be done here. And that is why, whichever one you have problem with, when we get there, you raise the observation, it is thrown back to the House, and we discuss it. So we have started now. The fuel levy that the chairman of Rules observed, and he said it's 5 naira on a liter, then let's discuss the issue of 5 naira a liter. Let's see if it is achievable. Let's see if it is reasonable. Let's see if in the entirety we have to delete that particular subclause. So we are still on it.
Mr. Chairman, on the issue of the 5 naira per liter, my heart bleeds for Nigerians. Because we already have, or we are selling petroleum products at 145 naira per liter. Is this part of the pricing? It was only in this current assembly, we have a committee that is reviewing the template. I'm sure I'm correct. And we are yet to receive that. Yes. No, I'm putting a motion that we should delete it. And there's problem with all the sorts of funds. So I move.
Before I call on members, there are two broad areas now. The observation is for that particular item to be deleted. The other observation is the committee itself suggested 5 naira on a liter. And I think what we have to go is either to suggest a far smaller amount or delete. So I want people to direct their debates or to contribution to us. So I will start from this column: Atua, Zachary, Fred, and Ogene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, if we look at our consumption pattern in this country, it is quite substantial. I will not subscribe to the idea of 5 naira per liter. I would rather go for something in the region of 1 naira per liter. And I think over the time that will be substantial enough, since that is not the only source.
For the deletion of that clause A in relation to the fuel levy on imported petroleum products, I also would propose an amendment by deleting propose an amendment, Mr. Chairman, for deletion of clause B. Whatever affects the imported petroleum products also affects the locally refined petroleum products. It all serves the same end, to increase the pump price of petrol, whatever source, whether it's imported or whether it's locally refined. And I see the 5 naira per liter at page 59 and 61 of this bundle. It's clearly stated there. But Mr. Chairman, if we allow that to be there, it increases the total amount payable by consumers. So I therefore suggest that we be removed. Yes.
Yeah, further to that, Mr. Chairman, further to that, I want to align myself with the first two speakers and to say that, yes, there's nothing wrong about that levy, but at the same time, it's on the high side. Imagine you're having 60 liters of fuel buying at the moment. So on each liter, you're talking about 5 naira. If you multiply that, the effect is on the consumer. So all I suggest is that whilst we say it's good to do all those, but you can still come down to that number. I'm not for deletion, but I'm for reduction.
Chairman of the committee, let's give you this opportunity to further explain how the money is going to be taken out of.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, well, when you say 5 naira, it appears to be so much. But on the average, according to the data we have, we consume about 30 million liters per day. How much does that give you in a day? It just gives you about 150 million naira. How much does it give you in a year? It gives you about 54 billion. And how much does that translate in terms of the requirement of Nigerian roads? The consequences of not maintaining roads, the consequences is that, look, instead of spending an hour, you spend 5. Along the line, you are going to burn something more than 5 liters, 5 naira per liter. You burn that's something like 10 times that much. If you are going to spend 5 hours instead of spending 1 hour, if you are going to service your vehicle instead of allowing it to last for a longer time, if you are going to replace parts, the shock absorbers, the bottom plates that will be broken, these are issues. We must understand the level of dilapidation in our infrastructure, whether it is power, whether it is roads. It should make sense to us that we should be able to pay.
And I wouldn't mind if Prestige or Yusuf, you move forward. Come closer, no, just come closer. Come closer. Chairman.
So, Mr. Chairman, it might appear that we are being sympathetic to our constituents, but we are inadvertently imposing some hardship by ensuring that our roads are not in a ready-to-go position. And the consequence is that we end up spending more money. Mr. Chairman, you imagine the state of our infrastructure. Roads, for instance, power, for instance, the number of generators we use compared to what we pay for NEPA.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, it's good to be statistical in presenting issues like this. The 30 million you are talking about is on PMS alone. So the fuel is generic here. Are you referring to PMS in addition to the kerosene, in addition to AGO, and the rest of them? Because we have to be clear now. Because these are for record purposes. On the floor of the House, they will say the chairman of the committee said we consume 30 million every day. And when you say consuming 30 million, most Nigerians will think about PMS alone. So can you, in this case, did you define fuel in your schedule, or you redefine it here to mean PMS, AGO, kerosene, and the rest of them, and lubricant, black oil, and all the rest? Because that is important. Yes, from the standpoint of what you have just said, it is true that 5 naira on 30 million consumption every day might be low. But you have to define what you refer to fuel now, whether it is PMS alone, whether it is inclusive of AGO, the kerosene, and the rest of them.
Yeah, what is referred to here is the fuel levy is on diesel and PMS, petroleum products, including ATK.
Mr. Chairman. What is being charged now? The
cost of petroleum product now, the 145 naira or so that we are paying per liter for petrol and the price of diesel now, is inclusive of 5% usage charge on pump price of petrol and diesel, and of which 40% would accrue to FEMA and 60% to be utilized by established state road maintenance agency. So what is being charged now on petrol and diesel is inclusive of this 5%. It's not a new one. What we are calling for is not a new one. But this, what is being charged now doesn't go to any of these agencies. With the road sector reform that is coming in, sir, Senate is handling the road sector reform bill, which will come back to us. FEMA will know this financing aspect of FEMA will be out of their schedule. It's going to the road maintenance agency, the road fund. So what we are asking for is not a new thing. It's what they are charging for petrol per pump price now is inclusive already on this charge. But what we're saying is that if you go to this agency, yeah, that is what we're saying. It's already there.
Input. We will not get off this one. Let's properly direct our debate. Part of it is what he has just said, please. What he has just said is illuminating. That 5% is already being charged. But the fact of it is that 5% is not being paid to the appropriate authority. And I don't think, please listen so that we can get, and I don't think the committee, Honorable Toby, I don't think you did take cognizance of what he raised when you are putting your, because if you took cognizance of it, then it will have had a direct link with what you read from the Act and what you are proposing here. So let's now, that is the main problem now. Are we going to take the so-called 5 naira from the 5% that is already being charged, or this is an additional charge? So let's direct our debate towards that, please. So I will start from Flatter, from there to Shagari, then I will take Shoaib, then Atuwa. So Flatter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This recommendation Mr. Chairman, this recommendation is entirely a new recommendation. It's not part of the 5 naira is an additional cost onto the template of the price of PMS. The 30,000 he mentioned is what is consumed daily on PMS nationally. So he's calling for an increase on the price of PMS. Yes. Okay. Yes. We are saying that, Mr. Chairman, it should be deleted.
Having made the explanation I made, you don't need this interjection again. Let's correctly direct our debate. It's been read that there is an existing charge of 5%, which has not been properly channeled since has been. So the question now is, which the committee will now answer, is are they taking out of the 5% that is already being charged, or we are going to charge another 5 naira on what? So on that note, let me listen to Shagari. Take your seat. Please, let's
talk in relation to other charges that they are making, including this 5% or excluding whatever we decide. Because if you look at the executive summary, there are other charges that they add this 5% to, which cumulatively will tell us how much they are getting for road maintenance. For instance, if you look at page 4 in the executive summary, they are charging, apart from the 5 naira, there is an axle load control charges. Then it's also toll fees, not exceeding 10% of any revenue paid as user charges per vehicle on any federal road designated as a toll road. And then there is the international vehicle transit charges. You also have an interstate mass transit user charge of 0.5%. It goes on and on. Roads funds of 0.5% chargeable on access value of any vehicle imported at any time into Nigeria. Lease license or other fees, which shall be 10% of the revenue accruing from lease or leases of other fees pertaining to non-vehicular road users. All these are captured under sources of revenues for National Roads Fund. This is what I want the chairman to explain. Okay. Cumulatively, what does it arrive at?
Question. So if it is present only in clause 4, we go ahead and consider the remainder of the bill, and we adjourn the consideration of clause 4 for the committee, and possibly had some other relevant committee of the House to go and look at the totality of the charges that we are expecting to accrue to this particular organization. It is not something we can discuss exhaustively here. It's not. Shoaib, we cannot finish it here, please. We cannot finish it. So that is the ruling. That is the ruling. We suspend the consideration of clause 4, consider the other part of the bill. Then the committee, when I get back to plenary, we had 1 or 2 other committees to go and now consider clause 4 and the charges, and take along those other charges like Sunday Karimi read to us, and see if the money can be taken out of this one. You have to marry all the charges that is supposed to accrue to this. So let's suspend the consideration of clause 4. Clause 5. On clause 5. Or I have not gotten there. Clause 6. Okay, Biodun.
Mr. Chairman, my amendment is on the composition of the, that's clause 6 section 3, that the board shall consist of the following. But, Mr. Chairman, looking at page 3 of the recommendation, item number 7, to back up my amendment, it says members of the board shall be a person of recognized expertise, knowledge, and requisite qualification with not less than 20 years cognitive experience in one or more of the following: fund management, engineering, transportation management, law, finance, accountancy, and economics. Sir, when we talk of fund management and economics in road construction, in infrastructural development, I think it is very proper to have the quantity surveyors in such fund management. No, it's not a matter of creating jobs. Mr. Chairman, my amendment is that the board should include the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyor. I so move, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I write to second that the quantity surveyor should be included in the amendment.
Those in support of that amendment say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So clause 6 as amended.
On the composition of the board, I think it's on the 3rd page, on Roman 4, where they said, after Petroleum Products Pricing and Regulatory Agency, the Roman 4 says Federal Roads Agency. As of now, I know that we have a Federal Roads Maintenance Agency. So may I... No, sir, but let me propose my amendment. Sir, I propose an amendment because in view of what the bill that is before the Senate, which will come to us, they are proposing to amend even the Federal Roads even the FEMA Act. We may style this to say Federal Roads Maintenance Agency or any other agency that carries on the function of road maintenance. It takes care of, even in the future, if we decide to change the name, it will still accommodate it, sir. That was the amendment I was proposing to make. It's futuristic.
Proposed by my learned senior advocate, Pajok, by saying any relevant federal road agency. The relevant federal road agency. Yes.
So I'll give you that prerogative, but it's not procedural. After a motion has been seconded, I'm supposed to take the question. But because you are the author, so let me give you that space.
I have no objection with regard to the amendment, but I'm saying Federal Roads Agency refers to any agency or any body that is constituted that is handling road maintenance. You understand? What I'm saying is that I don't have any objection. It's a matter of couching. Otherwise, the Federal Roads Agency is any authority that is responsible for road maintenance and management.
The amendment made by Honorable Pajok is Federal Road Maintenance Agency and other relevant agencies. So, or any, is that any other relevant? Okay. So those in support of that motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Honorable Body.
I also move a motion on the establishment of a governing board to manage this fund. In line with my earlier contribution in this house today. Yes. No, I want to move. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That this fund be managed by the sovereign fund already in existence, that we don't need to create. No, this clause 6 is about creating another board. It says establishment of the governing board of directors. I'm not having problem with the fund, but to create another board, we have sufficient agencies that can manage the fund. I think it's a counter motion by the chairman.
Yes, it is true that we must try as much as possible not to keep creating commission and corporation. But this particular one is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very. So, clause 6 as amended. Clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, clause 10. Zachary, you'll be sanctioned. Clause 11. Clause 12, clause 13, clause 13, clause 14. Carry me. Clause 15 is on what page? Clause 15. Clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, clause 21, Clause 22. Clause 23. Clause 24. Clause 25. Clause 26. Clause 27. Clause 28. Clause 29. Clause 30, which is the short title of the bill. First schedule. Yes, that's a very serious. In our first schedule, we requested that the committee will go back again to consider charges and levies that are required, and the one recommended is in the first schedule. So it's correct that that first schedule is carried as amended, because when we come back with the relevant charges, we are now going to insert the recommendation. It's in second schedule. Okay, first schedule is carried as a. Who is that is futuristic and is correct? No? Pali. Again, my ruling on this second schedule will be that it will be taken along with clause 4. Second schedule of the bill will be taken along with clause 4. It is after you must have determined correctly what will be the charges that will now write the second schedule. So that's the ruling on second schedule. It's left out too. Explanatory memorandum and long title of the bill. When we come back, we'll do that. Leader.
The rise to move that the House revert back to plenary to report progress. I so move.
Whip.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the acting leader.
The House hereby reverts back to plenary.